Good day. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite plugins. I have a lot of favorite plugins, so I'm going to start with 3, and we'll see how it goes. So my first favorite plugin is the LA-3A from Universal Audio. So I've got the native version going on here. And first of all, it's just very simple. Like the original hardware unit, you've just got gain and peak reduction to control. They've added this high frequency makeup, which is pretty awesome, and a mix control for parallel compression. You can switch between compression and limiting mode, and that's about it. What I like about it, and it was something I was searching for a long time, was to find a compressor that was really transparent. A lot of people use 1176 on a lead vocal, but I find a lot of the different versions, at least the plugin versions, they would make something weird happen with the overall like tone of the sound, where the LA-3A, it gives me that gain reduction, but it still sounds like the original sound. Like there's nothing added to it in the like low mid area that I find offensive. So let's just throw on some music and we'll turn it on and off and see what we get.
Been through my whole life with no wife, and I was lonely. Yeah, I was lonely as I lay down. I fall.
Okay, so we'll hear that again without the plugin turned on. I do have other things in the vocal chain. Just, why not? But this is it without the LA-3A.
Been through my whole life with no wife, and I was lonely. Yeah, I was lonely as I lay down. I fall.
If you can barely hear a difference, that's a good thing. I like that. I'm just going to solo the vocal. So let's hear the vocal again with it turned off, and then I'll turn it on.
I'd been through my whole life with no wife, and I was lonely.
And with it on.
I'd been through my whole life with no wife, and I was lonely. Yeah.
It's just controlling the level. I really like that. Okay, so plugin number 2 that I want to show you today is the one and only Valhalla VintageVerb. And so what I want to do is let's just hear, this is just the reverb. It is amazing. I love how it's cheap, first of all, and it sounds really great. It's just got this smooth, silky reverb that doesn't have a lot of that metallic, shimmery stuff going on. Sometimes you want that, and that's great, but for what this does, I just love it. It's a really simple interface. You've got this color control here. You can change. I'm on 1970s. You do 1980s and now, and it changes the tone of it, the timbre. And you've got a giant decay knob, which is pretty straightforward. What I usually do is definitely adjust the low cut, because if you've got too much lows on your reverb, it's going to get a bit muddy. But other than that, you can't really go wrong with this thing. It has a ton of presets, and it just sounds good. Okay, so for plugin number 3, I want to show you the FabFilter Pro-L, which is probably my favorite limiter. Again, it's super transparent. You can make things loud, and it stays generally natural sounding. I didn't understand at first this oversampling part. Let's see here. So you can have it off, or you can have it increasing in how many times it oversamples. And what that does is it resamples the sound at a higher sample rate, and it gets increasingly higher as you go up. And so, for example, 32 times is very CPU intensive. So I tend to stay away from that, but often I'll be using 16 times oversampling, even in a mix where I'm just using it to get an idea of what it's going to sound like when I make it loud later, because it will change, the level of the vocal or the level of the drums in terms of how much that stuff is sticking out when you put it through the limiter, which you're going to inevitably do, in the mastering stage. And I find, the oversampling adds even more clarity. Like you can push it harder and it just stays clean. There's less distortion. And sometimes with these limiters, it's not like a noticeable distortion that you would typically expect. It's more of just kind of like becomes a bit like mushy. You lose detail. So what I like about it is I'm going to just play the track again through this. How do I do that? There we go. So I've got true peak limiting turned on, which gives you some true peaks. And you just turn it up. Just for fun, I'm going to turn it up too loud and just see what it does.
You left a trail that was for me to find.
I have never done that before. I didn't know it goes up to 30. But that still sounded like not bad, considering that we were just going way, way beyond what you would ever do in a normal situation. I tend to leave my output for a limiter for mastering, that kind of thing, at -1, and that allows when it gets played back and converted on different platforms for streaming and things like that, or through a cheaper converter on like a cell phone or other kind of player. It's sometimes when it gets converted, it'll push it up a little bit more. And then if you're already at 0, it'll get into clipping range and it won't sound as good. So -1 gives you a bit of headroom there for those situations, because you just don't know. Once you put it out in the world, you don't know what's going to happen. It does have dither too, which I don't use as much anymore, because typically now I'm outputting things to 24-bit. Like I record at 24 and I mix and master at 24. In the old days, it was more common with the CD standard of 16-bit 44.1. You would need to use the dither to keep it clean when it was down sampling or down bidding. I don't know how you would describe that, but so this is a very wonderful limiter. There's lots of these out there, but this particular one stands out to me as my favorite, I'd say, at this time. So that is my first 3 favorite plugins. I hope you had fun watching this. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.